Aloha and welcome back to Live at the Legislature. I'm the new Hawaii State Senate Communications Director, Jesse Broder Van Dyke, and this is a very exciting episode of Live at the Legislature because it's the first time we're broadcasting live on all the neighbor islands, on Akaku on Maui, on Ho'ike on Kauai, and on Naleo o Hawaii. And to start our season off, we have the Senate Majority Leader, Jay Kalani English, who represents Maui County, including Hana, East and Upcountry Maui, Molokai, Lanai, and Kaho'olawe. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. So tomorrow's the first day of the session, and I understand this afternoon we're planning a big press conference to roll out a new package. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, well, without giving away the whole package, I mean, basically we've been working very closely with the House and with the executive on trying to tackle some of the big issues facing Hawaii. For example, homelessness, income disparities, and things like that. So this afternoon at 2, we'll be rolling out that package. What's unique about this is that, I think one of the rare times we have a general agreement between the House, the Senate, and the executive. So you have the two bodies on the legislative side saying we must tackle these issues, and then the executive saying we'll work closely with you to implement the outcomes. The other unique aspect is we've been working very closely with the private sector, so the for-profit businesses as well as the nonprofits in putting this together. I want to stress that this is the beginning point. The bills will be rolled out, and it's the beginning of the discussion. The hearing process, and as it goes through, will be the sounding board with the public, and I'm sure the bills will change as it goes through committee.
Is there anything in particular we can look towards? I understand housing and education are some of the parts.
Yeah, we have invested literally a few $100 million in housing over the last few years. What we're realizing is not just the dollars, but also things like infrastructure, things like availability of land, income. People need to have an income in order to pay a basic mortgage, basic living. So these issues will be addressed as well. One of the overarching themes, I think, at least for the Senate, is, of course, climate change, right? I mean, we just came out of a series yesterday and the day before and over the weekend of some very bad storms. So I live in Hana, the East Maui, and in a little village called Hamoa. My road was literally about a foot underwater, because it's right next to the ocean. My oceanside property was 3 feet underwater, almost 90% of the property covered. So, we're in the middle of we're in the middle of climate change. It's not a future event, it's right now. Take a look around the state, and the most famous road falling into the water recently is in Hau'ula. But on Molokai, on the east side of the island, I have a stretch of road that if that falls in, it's about 10 feet left. The whole east side of Molokai is isolated. Going to Lahaina, roads falling into the ocean. On the Big Island, on Kauai. So we would like to deal with climate change issues, deal with the very hard issue of what the nice term is called planned retreat. It really means how do we begin moving critical infrastructure inland and out of danger.
How do we start doing that?
Yes, well, you see, so we did all the easy stuff, right? We have the aspirational, let's have renewable energy by a certain year, let's do these other things. Now the hard part. We have the studies, we know the Climate Change Commission has come out with their predictions of when certain areas will be inundated, like Waikiki, like downtown Honolulu, and now the very hard part of how do we move, let's say, power plant or a wastewater treatment system that's on the coast. Because, I know the numbers have been revised, but we're looking at a window of within 10 to 15 years for a lot of these places to be inundated. That's going to be one of the issues that we look at least in the Senate this year.
And you just came out with your 2020 Senate legislative program, which includes some of the United Nations sustainability goals. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the Senate has adopted all 17 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. It's a global effort, so every country in the world, except for South Sudan, because, they have some governance issues, but hopefully they'll adopt them soon, have adopted these goals. We've localized the goals, and, to use a big term, we've made them ours. So what we do is we ask each senator to give me their top 2 priorities, issues that they're hearing in their districts. We put that in a grid, and then all the senators sit down and we look at that grid and we come up where the clusters are. What are the things that rise to the surface? And then from that, we link them to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The reason you do that is that we can now speak to the rest of the world with the same basis, right? We have all the measurables, outcomes, all the measurements, all the metrics. And then we localize it. So for example, we took 8 of this year of the 17 that we'll focus on. For example, number 10, which is reduced inequalities. We will work diligently to promote social, economic, and political growth, and for all by increasing the minimum wage, requiring paid family leave, and creating a retirement savings program. These are very, very local issues that we have been dealing with over the last few years. We've tied them to the Sustainable Development Goals, number 10, and all of our committees and all of our committee chairs will be working towards this goal. We also took things like number 3, good health and well-being. We will ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at every age by improving access to quality health care, including mental and behavioral health services, reducing youth vaping, and repurposing underutilized state facilities. So again, vaping is a big issue. It's tied to number 3 and the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which means the rest of the world can understand what we're doing. We're talking about underutilized facilities. We have Leahi and we have other facilities that are not fully utilized. And if we fully utilize them, repurpose them, we can get much better outcomes. So we did this with the 8 goals that we're concentrating on. We also have some very good partners in this, Hawaii Green Growth, the Aloha Plus Challenge. This is a mouthful. Hawaii Green Growth Local 2030 UN Hub. So Hawaii is a United Nations hub for the Oceania, recently designated, and so we're working closely with them. And then our newest partner, the Hawaii Community Foundation, because they have what's called the Change Program, and that's their program based on, again, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So looking at it, we're dealing with the nonprofit world, the environmental world, and the for-profit world to implement these goals for us in Hawaii.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a very busy session and lots going to get accomplished, and I know you encourage everyone to chime in and let us know as you're developing the final legislation. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Majority Leader. We're going to be back here every Tuesday morning live at 8:30 and replaying Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. live on Olelo, Akaku, and all the neighbor island public access stations.
People can get this at hawaiisenatemajority.org.
Thanks so much for joining us, and see you next week.
Thank you.
What are you doing? We have to go. I'm gonna be late for work.
It's Tuesday morning. I gotta record live at the Legislature on Olelo. Senate and House leadership discussing what's happening at the state capitol.
So just watch it on the news tonight. Come on, let's go.
Hey, this is like getting the news before it's news. If only I could get this remote to work.
There. Can we go now?
No DVR? No problem. Watch Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. on Channel 49.